Hey everybody, welcome back to 3 Generations Restoration. Looks like we got some snow on the ground. We just got about, I would say, a foot of snow over the weekend here. So we're gonna go ahead and get a few things done in the shop. Like I said, most of everything is pretty much put away out here. So I figured today's a good day to get working on that carburetor on our John Deere 630. So let's get after it. Alright, so you guys saw in the last episode, we redid our self-priming sediment bowl here. And we went and tried to test drive it, and the tractor would run for probably a minute and then it would die. What I did do was I checked and made sure that this line here was not plugged. And I checked that, make sure that this here was getting gas all the time. And it is. So I think we have an issue down here in the float. We're gonna go ahead and start with this little area here, because if the float is the problem, then we aren't gonna have to spend a whole ordeal getting this carburetor out of here. So we're gonna start by pulling that off, and then we'll go from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll get this cleaned up real quick, get a little bit of the gumbo out of there with some brake clean, and pull it off. Alright, so now that I got it semi-decently cleaned up, we're going to clean this up a little better later. What I like to do to get this off is just use an open-end wrench. And you got to kind of be careful sometimes on these, especially on... I got to grab a bucket, hold on. We're dripping gasoline. Alright, well, what I was saying was you got to be careful sometimes on these, because especially on the older model 2 cylinders, this little stem here that holds this bowl on can actually break off, and it's a nightmare, to be honest with you. Alright, now that we got that nut off, we can pop this bowl off. Under here will be our float and all the gasoline in the bowl. And it honestly, from first glance, does not look bad. So what I'm going to do now is move the float up and down. Yeah, it looks like the needle's moving. So that's a good sign. Yeah, what I think I'm gonna have to do now is I'm gonna press down on the gas, so I'm gonna give it gas. We should be seeing some come out of the carb, yep. So that's what's happening, but it just seems like as soon as the tractor's running, it'll then slowly die. So it'll act like that where there is no gas. Let's see if the needle's working when it's shut. Yep, there's open. So it seems like the float and the needle are doing what they're supposed to do. So I'm gonna pull the float off anyway, just to take a look at it. If I can, there we go. And you got to be careful because the needle's gonna come with it. Right. Looks like someone's been in here before. This has that neoprene tip needle on it, which I hate. I prefer the metal. The float looks like brand new. So someone's definitely been in here before. So I think, unfortunately, I think this entire carburetor is gonna have to come off. But let's see here. Yeah, see, we're getting fuel out of that the seat, and that's a pretty good amount of fuel. I don't know. I feel like something is a little dirty or something in here. So let's do some more digging. Alright, well guys, it's looking like we're going to be taking this entire carburetor off. Isn't exactly what I was hoping for and hoping what I wouldn't have to do, but just because of what's happening with this tractor and seeing what I'm seeing with the float not being bad, and I don't see any problems with the gas coming to the carburetor, we're going to have to take this thing apart completely and see if something is gummed up, which is very possible. So I suppose we'll start with the easy stuff. Got to take the choke off. And it might be easier if you take and move the choke to get this cotter key out. Grab some cutters. All right. These rusty cotter keys are always, they're always a pain to get off the first time. Come on. Boy. I'm just gonna cut it. Oh. We'll take it out the other way, I suppose. There. Well, that cotter key's out in pieces. I'm just gonna push the choke out of the way. Alright, now our next focus is going to be the throttle. And we had this off already one time. We had to take this off to get the self-priming sediment bowl. So this cotter key should come out fairly easy, but I'm probably gonna jinx myself. Yep, it's not. She's not wanting to come out. Oh, there we go. We're just gonna slowly take this throttle and pull it out of the spring-loaded thing there. And then I'm gonna take the throttle and go back with it. Just like that. Alright, now I suppose we better take off our inlet supply and our return line. this tractor actually has a return line. I don't know if you guys can see it in the area, but right behind this line is another line, and that goes back to the top of the tank. So we need to go ahead and we need to get these two lines out of the way. They look to be 5/8 or 11/16 nuts. Well, it's a good thing I brought an 11/16 over, because that's what it is. So we're gonna go ahead and take this top off. So this shouldn't have any fuel coming to it right now, since this is the self primer. So go ahead and get this out of here. And what I might do is I might take it off at the actual sediment bowl as well, just to get this line out of the way. Need a 1/2-inch wrench. Just get this line out of the way so we're not fighting it. I found on doing some of these DLTX carburetors like this one here that having as much out of the way as possible when you're removing and installing it is the best way to go. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I have never touched one of these, you know, later two-cylinder style Marvel shovelers. I'm used to the older ones like on the John Deere B's and the John Deere A's, but they're all the same. The adjustments are a little different on these than they are on the A's and the B's back in the day, and we're gonna learn as we go, and you guys are gonna follow along how I learn as well. Let's go ahead and get that top return line out of the way. Should just be an 11/16 as well. And that we can just push up out of the way, because you'll see how that comes out. I think that should be everything disconnected from the carburetor. The next step is really the not most tedious, but takes the longest, is we're gonna get a 9/16 wrench. We got 8 bolts to take off. You can see we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we got 4 more on the other side. All 9/16, and I'll show you the wrench I got made for this. Alright, you can obviously buy these, but a while ago my grandpa made this 9/16 90-degree wrench. This is good for getting bolts like this top bolt here, where you don't have much room to get in, and we're going to be using this in just a regular 9 to get this top bolt out of here. It's just in a pretty bad spot, unfortunately. You know, John Deere made these things to last, and it's not like you're going to be taking these carburetors out very often. So here's one bolt coming out. But like I said, this is one of the first John Deere carburetors. Not first, but I haven't done one of these in a while, just because they whenever they sit, these things are they just seem to be unbeatable, I guess. Alright, there's one bolt. Now we're going to look underneath the choke and see another. And that's what's nice about this 90-degree wrench, is you can angle it. Alright, let's go ahead and get this bolt off down here underneath the choke. Kind of hidden if you have the choke all the way off. So you got to turn the choke on or something to really get access to this bolt here. we're gonna do a nice job with cleaning up all this grease as well, because I don't like the look of this grease. All right, we'll go and we'll get this one under here now. Oh, that one was tight. Well, we got her. All right, now we got one on the top. Kind of hard to see, but pretty freaking tight. Might have to double wrench this guy or something, because wow. Wow, is that tight? That's not a good sign, guys. There we go. I think we got her. I'll bet this carburetor hasn't been off in a long time, because that bolt was really stuck on there. There we go. That was one tough cookie. Pretty rusty. That's probably why. All right, let's move to the other side. All right, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but this is definitely the harder side to get at. Especially like this bolt right here, but we'll get her. All right, so I'm sure that this thing is probably just gonna be stuck in here. So I'm gonna go to the other side and keep the... All right, so now this thing should come out. At least I would hope. Yeah, she's probably stuck in there pretty good. Gonna have to give her a few tappy taps with a rubber mallet. Wow, pretty stuck actually. There we go. All right, here she comes. We'll take her out nice and easy. Looks like our throttle is in the way again. All right, there we go. Got the old double barrel DLTX carburetor. Let's set this guy on the bench. All right, guys, so I think we're gonna call it an episode here. You're seeing some future footage here. We're gonna get ready to disassemble the carburetor. But I think we're gonna call it an episode to split it up a little bit. So stay tuned for the next episode on this John Deere 630 carburetor, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.